Why did this professional footballer step straight into non-league management just days after his final match in the Football League? With over 600 league appearances in his career, Skuse is now experiencing a very different side of the game in the 8th tier of English football. But after 20 years in the professional game, can he succeed as a non-league manager?
Why did you immediately want to jump into non-league football?
It's amazing what sort of opportunities come your way after. This was never my intention, ever. I'm so glad I've done it now, but never my intention at the time. And it was sort of my transition towards the end of my career, stepping into what life would look like after has kind of led to this. So my transition the last couple of years of my career were working in an independent school in Ipswich. So I'm head football coach at that college. And it just so happened to a guy I used to play with at Ipswich, Alan Lee, who again himself had a great career, works at another school. We played against each other. And he said, "What's your intentions when you finish playing?" I said, "Well, once I'm done. I'm kind of done." He said, "Yeah, would you come and play for us at Bury?" I'm like, "No, with the utmost respect. Once I'm done, I'm done." He said, "Would you consider management?" I said, "It's something I've never thought of, but again, thank you, but no thank you." Then it's just something that stuck. Went home, spoke to my wife, and she said, "Look, if he's going to get you out the house on a Saturday afternoon and stop you being a pain around the house, then go and have a look." And it's something I'm so glad I've done. I naively probably thought that I'd get to the end of my playing days and be at ease with not having football as such in my life, but like I said, I probably needed this far more than I ever anticipated.
You only retired May 2023, then you were the manager. Did you think you would miss it?
I don't know. It's probably a question I've never been asked. I genuinely thought I'd be able to stop playing, and because I've done it for so long, and if I'm being brutally honest, the tail end of my career, it wasn't so much for love, and that's no slight on any club I was at, no slight on anyone else, that was just me. You go through so many sacrificial bits from a really, really young age. You're 3 times a week, you're training, you're playing up and down the country, your parents go for an awful lot, you sacrifice so much. So I got to an age, I was just shy of 38 when I retired. I was like, I think I've had enough.
You played a lot of football.
Yeah, I've had enough. So I just thought, because I've had enough from playing, I thought that football itself, I've kind of ticked that box and that would be enough. I've got 3 young children that all play football, they do ballet, they do all sorts. So I thought I'd be able to fill my sort of weekends with that, go and watch Ipswich, go and watch Bristol City when I can. So I never anticipated jumping straight in. I'm guessing it was just an opportunity. I thought if I didn't take it, and I got 2 or 3 months down the line thinking, wow, I should have took that. Colchester, when I finished playing there, they very kindly offered me to stay on in a coaching capacity there, but at that time I thought, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
In answer to your original question, I don't really know, but like I said, I'm so glad I have, because the club itself is a fantastic club, and the group of boys that we got here, they're golden, they're brilliant. So lads, I'll only drag this bit on, okay? Latching on from Thursday night's talk sort of after the session, I thought Thursday was really important, and it rolls into this, okay? A lot of it's psychological in terms of you can look at the league table and be like, we're flying there, going through a transition. The transition bit for them, I think, can be really dangerous for us today, okay? So it is that level of concentration needs to be through the roof. I've overheard conversations saying they're now really structured, they've got a structure they've not had before. On an unbelievable surface, perfect conditions for it, but it will be a real tough test, okay? So you overcome that psychological battle of parking that that we're top, they're bottom, all that stuff. As a group, I know you do it unbelievably anyway.
What was your first impressions of non-league football?
Whilst in Bristol, I'd always go and watch my friends, always go and watch my local team, Yate Town. I've always been around it, always had an interest, never from this, obviously, standpoint of standing in a dugout and leading the team as such. It's sort of opened my eyes so many ways to the world of football, outside of the sort of sheltered football that you're in as a professional. The amount of people that do so much for a football club like this, it's incredible. It really is eye-opening and mind-blowing.
What was that experience like when you first walked out the tunnel and walked into a dugout?
I sort of teed myself up for a volley, because my first ever game here was against Ipswich Town under-23s, who are unbelievable. Absolutely tonked us. I'm thinking, but there was an element of nerves. There was a lot of friends come out, a lot of lads that I used to play with come across to watch, family come up to watch, friends come up to watch from Bristol. And a completely different nerves to when you're playing. So different. But yeah, elements of nerves, excitement, just a real a sort of array of emotions.
What's the day-to-day runnings of a non-league manager at Step 4?
One of my best signings and my most important signings and my first signings was a really good assistant. I met with a couple of individuals, and like I said, one of the first people I met was Paul Musgrove, who's been around this league for a long time and knows the levels, got all his phone books, the longest I've ever seen. He knows his super strengths as such. He's on the phone all the time, he's emailing, he's got, like I say, he's got contacts up and down the country. So he's so important. He takes care of an awful lot throughout the week. That's not one of my strengths as such. I like to be on the grass, I like to be coaching. So in terms of my week, it looks like a couple of nights a week we have a session, rolling into a Saturday, but we're on the phone all the time. Me, Paul, Mark, Ben, who you know, the goalie coach, we're on the phone all the time throughout the week.
Muzzy, talk to me about this phone book, because Cole says you've got a contact for everyone in non-league.
It's not far wrong, yeah. It probably goes way back, to be fair, from my playing days. I always I like to speak to people. A lot of people Ipswich way. It just went from there really. I always had a vision that I wanted to go into management at some point. Wasn't ever a plan to start putting people in my phone book, but when Cole come in, it was probably one of my more attractive points. So I said to him that I'd know a few people and I think we can get a few in to make the team better. So I think it's a positive trait to have. So there's a lot of good non-league footballers in Suffolk. I think it goes a little bit beyond there as well, but there's a time when you need to pick up the phone, so it's always nice to look through it.
Apart from the incredible phone book, how else did you help Cole transition from being a professional footballer to a non-league manager?
Well, firstly, I don't think he gives himself enough credit because I think he thinks it was huge. I think his personality is massive. He's got a very good way of speaking to people, so straight away he connected with people. He's very humble. So I think I just eased it in a way of trying to alleviate the playing side in terms of getting bodies in that I thought would help us, and then just get his feel for around non-league, and obviously it is a drop down, so just how things go around a non-league club and when you go to other grounds, and also how other teams play. We would be going places and I would be saying, look, I know how they're going to play. Now with your pro head on, let's find a way of beating them, and obviously to date it's worked quite well.
How can his experiences in professional football help these lads?
First of all, he holds the changing room very well, speaks very well, gives them a lot of confidence. And then on the training field, I've worked with a lot of people on the training pitch throughout my non-league career, and he is not because he's a pro, but his delivery and how he thinks about sessions. We talk about sessions throughout the week, and how he delivers it and the structure towards a match day is exceptional, and that just brings on players' imagination, and I think that gives them confidence.
Your footballing stuff, that'll take care of itself. That won't change in terms of patterns, okay? I don't need to give you loads of tactical bits from our aspect. The stuff you've been doing for weeks and weeks and weeks, that remains the same. Because like I said on Thursday, last weekend's performance, 90% of it was near on perfect. It's just that ruthlessness, relentlessness in that top end, alongside that element of composure, and you can swipe anyone to one side, okay? But your concentration needs to be at peak. Because if they come across and sit in a real low block and you've got loads and loads of possession, that's where, as a group, we sometimes become slightly giddy and it becomes slightly disjointed. That's why I said the emphasis on the boys that were at the back last week and rolling into today will be the same. So again, we'll touch base just after 2, okay? This is us today. So Camps, you'll roll in up top, okay? The rest will be the same. All good? Maz, anything from you?
They've got individuals, but they will be off the cuff. They might have a slight structure and say, let's sit in. Right, but we have got the quality to break them down. If we're patient, if we do things at the right time, we've got no rights, okay? But we just need to keep where we are now for the whole of December and make sure that we go into the new year as strong as possible, all right?
Mark?
Yeah, I'd just like to add bookings. It's the cut-off today. Anyone gets, 3 of you are on 4 bookings. So if you get another one, you'll miss the next game. Brian, Jamal, Lewis. So be careful, you 3.
Who have we got next, Mark?
You'll be away.
What are you laughing at, Curly? Right, tune in, we'll touch base just after 2, okay? Let's get to work.
Do you miss that changing room atmosphere as a player with the music pumping, or are you quite happy now that you've done your time in the changing room that you can say your bit and then just leave them to it now and walk out?
Very much the case, especially some of the rubbish they listen to. That's a throwback slightly in our changing room, so I don't miss that. It is nice to go in, have your little bit, then get out and let them have their own space. And I like all this, like chatting to the people that have been coming here for years and years and years.
And you have to take into consideration that the players give up their time.
Yep.
So how important is the man management to get the best out of them?
That's probably the biggest thing for me, the biggest thing. Like I said, I love the detailed bit on the grass, but the man management's so important. These boys work extremely hard all week in all different trades, PTs, electricians, plumbers, whatever it may be. As much as we're trying to close that gap between professionalism and non-league in the best possible, with a realistic hat on, we're not trying to turn this into Wrexham, nowhere near it. We're trying to close the gap. We try and give them the best we can in terms of, we've got very good S&C, we've got numbers of staff that work within the club is quite high. The volunteers are unbelievable, the stuff that we try and do off the field to generate an interest in the football club. But for me, the most important bit is looking after them how you'd like to be looked after. So we get that they work extremely hard, they should come here and still have that element of fun whilst trying to compete at a high level.
Which one of your managers gave you the best advice?
They've all had little nuggets, but an absolute standout for me, it's Mick McCarthy. He was an incredible human being. He would always be on the football pitch coaching. You kind of knew the sessions you were having day by day, week by week, but in terms of a human being and a mentor as such, someone off the field, he was the best by a country mile. His attention to details from a man management standpoint, it was unbelievable, top. And I wouldn't be alone in saying that. And this is for, I played a lot of games under Mick and had a long spell under him, but lads that didn't quite play as many games under him but were on the bench or not in the squad would still have the same opinion.
Yeah.
That's a sort of unbelievable trait in itself. So I'd have to say him.
Why do you think we're seeing so many ex-pros jumping into non-league?
I can only speak on from my own perspective. There's so many fulfilments within this. You leave here on a Saturday. I've had buzzes off the back of this that I never had in my playing career. I think it's just an unbelievable setting to learn. And like I said, you see far more in this environment than I ever did in the professional setting, albeit I'm talking from a player perspective in that setting. You don't see as much as a manager would in that professional setting. But I think it's just the fulfilment here. You get that the lads work hard all week. And then they come here on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, on a Saturday, and still give you their last ounce of energy. I cannot thank them enough for making my time here so enjoyable, because they do genuinely give you their last ounce of energy.
The hard work has certainly paid off. In Cole's first season, the club finished second in the league, their highest position in a number of years, but missed out on promotion, losing in the playoff semi-final. Fast forward 7 months and Bury Town are flying high at the top of the table, proving that a Football League legend can succeed at this level. But could a Premier League player do the same? We asked the lads to give us their thoughts on who would make a great non-league manager.
Jared Bowen. He took over the captain at West Ham and he looks like he took to it like a duck to water.
I'm going to go Van Dijk. He's just so calm and composed, isn't he? I think he'd be really good.
I don't know, I would have said Jordan Henderson, but he's not in the Premier League anymore. But maybe Van Dijk.
Oh wow, Cole Palmer. I think he'd be good to play with. Loads of ability. Funny guy. I think it'd be good fun. Whether his tacterial stuff would be up to scratch, I don't know, but yeah.
Come back to me. I'll come back to that one. I need to think about it.
I'm going to go Villa because I like Villa, and Pau Torres.
Some hard man. Think of a hard man for me. I'm trying to think. Someone that don't like the luxuries as much.
Marcus Rashford.
Manuel Akanji, because he is really smart, I think. He's good at maths.
Virgil van Dijk. Just because he's cool, calm, composed, isn't he? He's just a cool guy.
Gundogan, I think, because he just knows everything. He's worked under Pep, so I feel like he'd be a good manager.
Good non-league manager. Rodri. He runs their whole team from the pitch anyway while Pep's on the sideline, so I think he could do a good job.
I'm going to go Sean Dyche. Get it in the channels. Player. Oh, player! I said manager. Dwight McNeil then. Get it in the channels.
And when your team crossed that white line onto this magnificent pitch, by the way, the best at step 4.
Yeah.
How'd you like them to play?
Again, I'm hoping it's transparent for people that come across and don't watch us week in, week out. Again, I'm not trying to reinvent a wheel. We've got a good balance, I'd like to think, within our game. We like to be in control of the football, but then ultimately it boils down to decision makings when you're in control of football, when you might need to go in slightly longer areas. Again, I'm trying to sound all modern and I'm not. We've got a real good blend, but we've got really good footballers within our group. Lads that have had good footballing careers in the league themselves. So it'd be criminal for me not to give them the football. So we've got a good blend.
Ed, you've got plenty of Football League experience. How can you transfer that into non-league at Bury?
Look, it's been a good start to the season. It is a slightly different game, but there's loads of transferable skills, you know. Players at this level are really good. You know, it's not like there's that massive, ridiculous gap. A lot of people play at this level for different reasons, and there's lads here, certainly in our team, that could play at a high level for sure.
What made you want to play non-league football? Because you've played in the Football League throughout your career.
I was playing for Stevenage in League 2, and I came to the end of that contract. The manager who signed me got sacked after 2 weeks.
That's never a good start.
Not a good start, no. And it got to the end of the season, and my daughter was about to start school. So I had that sort of decision to make. Do I carry on the living away, contract to contract? And I thought, you know what, I had a nice offer from a non-league club. It was a 2-year offer, and it gave me a chance. And I thought, you know what, I can settle down in Bury. She can go to school, and it would give me 2 years to find out what I want to do for the rest of my life.
So how did you find that transition from full-time football to part-time football?
It was fine whilst I wasn't working, but then I got the full-time job, and I was just...
So now you're experiencing what it's like for a lot of the boys.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not 35 with 2 kids. Hit me like a ton of bricks. Obviously, I'd been used to getting home at 1, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, I was starting at 8 in the morning, getting in at 6 at night, and then going straight to training. So I wouldn't even go home. I'd go get changed in the car, go straight to training, 7 till 9. The first 6 months of last season was just like, this is tough. Yeah. Really tough, but like anything, your body gets used to it and your mind gets used to it.
And before you get a fine for being late to getting changed, what's the biggest lesson you've learned playing non-league football compared to the professional game?
That's a tough question. I haven't thought about that one. What I really like, and this isn't really an answer to your question, but what I really like is the togetherness in the changing room of of all the lads that are slightly at different stages and they do different things, but you come to football and it seems like everyone's together. And sometimes with professional football, it's slightly the opposite way, I think. A lot of the time, every man for himself a little bit in professional football. Don't know, maybe it's because I've got a slightly different outlook to it at the moment as well. I'm sort of a bit more relaxed about it and trying to enjoy it rather than be caught up in the whole rat race of professional football. But it's a real nice togetherness. Certainly that's what we've got in there anyway.
Games like this are massive, okay? Make sure we're on top of all our fundamentals and do our basics spot on, and the rest will come. If you think your mentality's not spot on for today, you won't win okay? Because they're going to come and have a right go at you because they're in the and they're scrapping for their lives. So match the fight and get your quality and we'll be absolutely fine. But don't think, oh, it's an afternoon where I can take the foot off it, because it ain't that. Okay? Just go and enjoy it.
Does it feel different winning 3 points as a manager or 3 points as a player?
Yeah, it does.
Does it mean more as a manager?
I think so, because you're overseeing more. You see that even like one of the coaches I've got here, Mark, his son plays in the team, but he's been around the club for a long, long time. He absolutely loves the club. So for me, if we score and I see him celebrating the way he celebrates, that for me, that's gold dust, gold dust. And it is different as a player, especially in the latter part of my career. When you become a senior player and you're overseeing a change room as such, it's more relief because it's like, oh, brilliant, we've got another result. But now you're stepping into like that mindset of, right, I'm a senior player, I need to try and manage what the lads are doing or manage what's coming for the next week. So it's more relief, whereas this is just joy. You just celebrate the win or a good performance or draw, whatever it may be, go in there, the lads have chucked themselves around, pumping music, whatever it may be, and then you drive home and you can have that little night of switch off. It's so different. I know I've gone a long way around the houses, but so yeah, it is a lot different.
And if you go up, everything gets harder, and the distance gets further.
Yeah, so that's something I've considered and something we had to speak to the lads about last year before we went into the playoffs. We're like, is it a thing, can you do it? And they were all gold and said, no, we can commit. It was something for me I'd have to consider because of the position I'm at, the private school, I really, really enjoy, and it's something it would be tough for me to give up because my kids go to the school, I get to see them every single day. Going back to the bits about the sacrifice and you making your playing days, to then commit to this, it's a conversation we'd have with a family, but somewhere like here with this club, I'd love to do it.
It's going well, mate, isn't it? You really enjoy it, don't you?
Oh, mate, genuinely, I'm guessing you can see from my sort of delivery as such, I do really enjoy it. The people surrounding this, like the chairman's son Chris, who do so much, the people that are around me that make my life easier just to deliver on the pitch as such, and the volunteers here, like you spoke about the pitch, Arnie's here twice a day cutting this.
It's incredible. It's a great ground as well.
But for stuff like this, we've got people like Nick Pope to thank. Nick Pope was here playing, got a move, I think, from here to Charlton. I think Berry got a little sell-on clause that allowed us to have a nice setting.
All the best, mate. Thank you so much, Carl.
Brilliant, Paul.
Love to see you.
No, pleasure.